Postgame. 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 Postgame.
Wow. Just wow. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Postgame. Hold up while I cough. Jeez. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Postgame. Wow. There's not much else I have to say except wow. Yeah, welcome. Sorry, a little distraught still. Welcome to my Elimination Chamber review, quote unquote. It'll be a lot of ranting probably, but I'll start with the matches. Women's Elimination Chamber match was so good. It was so good from the very beginning when Jade Cargill came out, and I mean, there's no sugarcoating it. She destroyed Naomi. When she did that, she looked like a monster. As good as she looked in her debut at the Royal Rumble last year, holy cow. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just her being super vicious, but she looked phenomenal. Like, I was scared to even look at her wrong in that moment. But then we go to the Women's Elimination Chamber match, and I mean, it was just consistent. It was consistently fantastic. Everyone had moments to shine. Rivalries had moments to stir a little bit. Roxanne and Bayley, of course. We have the makings of a Liv Morgan versus Alexa Bliss feud, which probably turns into Judgment Day versus the Wyatt Six. And then I got to talk about, the last two in there, Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan, just tearing it up as they normally do. They are both so good in the ring. Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair are not only fantastic wrestlers, but they are great with psychology and the acting side of it. I mean, if you watch Bianca Belair, last SummerSlam or 2 SummerSlams ago maybe, when she was when she got injured, she was selling it like there was no tomorrow. Same thing when Naomi got destroyed at the beginning of the match. She was crying, she was melting down, she was falling over. Like, she's fantastic. And then Liv Morgan is just great at being a little bit of a jerk. And then, of course, their wrestling just going back and forth. I mean, there was not many flaws to see in that match. Let's move to the tag team match. This felt out of place. Not saying it was a bad match. It just felt wrong. Especially considering the other matches. Just matches, not even other moments, which obviously I'm going to get to. We have 2 Elimination Chamber matches and then an unsanctioned match. And then just thrown in the middle of there is a random tag team match. And I get it. Trish Stratus is from Toronto. That's probably the main reason they did it. But it just felt out of place. It was a good match, but it wasn't overtly special. It was very middle of the road for me. That's about all I have to say about it. It wasn't bad. It didn't fit. It didn't fit the rest of the show. Now let's move to the match of the year. The unsanctioned match versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I mean, we watched 2 former friends turned enemies absolutely destroy each other. Throwing themselves through tables, going up steps, down steps, barbed wire chairs, power bombs onto the ring apron, an almost pile driver onto the exposed concrete after the fact. It was just a brutal match to watch. And one of the things that I'm shocked about is that there was no blood. Kevin Owens literally hit his face on a barbed wire steel chair. and there was no blood. But the best part about it, the lack of blood didn't take away from anything. That match still felt huge. That match still was huge. And then, of course, Randy Orton coming in at the end. Mania, just for the grudge match side of Mania, is going to be good. Especially with Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. That'll be a great match. I'm sure Sammy's going to get in there somehow. Yeah, wow. It was a fantastic match. Fantastic setup for a great WrestleMania. The only thing that bothered me again is, even though it was unsanctioned, there are officials out there and agents out there trying to stop it. I'm like, why would you? I guess it makes sense. You know, the commentary team was like, finally somebody has a heart. Somebody's being a human and caring for these people and trying to get them to stop. But it's unsanctioned. You have no responsibility. They signed up for this. Let them go. Let them fight. Nobody died. Somebody almost died, probably. Sorry, Sami Zayn, your neck is probably gone. But let them fight. Just let them fight. Let them fight. Let them, everyone was saying it. All right, done with that 5-star match of the year, by the way. I don't think anything's going to top that. So, moving on. Men's Elimination Chamber. I'm going to skip right to the end. I am sick and tired of the people getting eliminated not being taken out immediately. With Drew McIntyre, it was kind of understandable. He was right there. It was a roll-up. He could walk out on his own accord. But he Claymored Damian Priest before he left. When somebody gets eliminated from now on, they need to be dragged out. I don't care if they can walk on their own 2 feet. They need to be dragged out, and that door needs to be shut. Because at the end, when it was just John Cena and CM Punk, I could see that door not closing. I knew something was going to happen. Seth Rollins clearly was not out of the chamber. And of course, CM Punk gets put through the second rope. He's staying there. John Cena got knocked away somehow. And curb stomp. And then Seth Rollins leaves. That's what happened last year with Logan Paul to Randy Orton. I do not want to see that same spot again next year. Other than that, this was great. I mean, it's Elimination Chamber. I think Elimination Chamber is a very underrated match type because it's just chaotic. It's brutal. And that's the whole point of it. Everybody looked good, in my opinion. Logan Paul looked good. John Cena, he used his 5 moves of doom and threw a couple of punches, but he looked fine. CM Punk looked great. Damian Priest looked great. Drew McIntyre looked great. Seth Rollins looked great. Like, everybody looked good in these matches. I'm just hung up on the fact that we were repeating that same spot that happened last year with Logan Paul screwing over Randy Orton before he got out of the ring. I do not want to see that again, because it's at least not next year. Don't give me it 3 years in a row. Give me a break. Good Lord. But other than that, it was good. It was cool to see CM Punk and John Cena kind of square off a little bit, which is a match I think everyone wants. I think everyone wants to see that match. And if there can be a championship on it, that'd be even cooler. Bring back the Summer of Punk. Bring back a Punk that will pile drive John Cena, and a John Cena that would give a Hurricane Rana. Although John Cena might be too old to do a Hurricane Rana, but still, whatever. Like, we've got a great roster on the men's side. I just feel bad for Drew McIntyre, who again got eliminated by a roll-up. Drew McIntyre had an insane 2024 rivalry of the year with CM Punk. He was there every day. He was cutting promos like no other. And this year he's just not getting the opportunities we thought he would get. He could be going after some sort of title, but he's still stuck on CM Punk, and he's going to fight Damian Priest at WrestleMania probably, and I just want to see Drew McIntyre with at least the United States Championship or something. But anyway, it's time. I say this with the utmost sincerity. When I saw John Cena look at The Rock the way he did, I'm like, wow, he's giving him a death glare. Like, geez, John Cena is not messing around. And then the camera cut to The Rock counting down to 2. Also, I saw a cool theory on Twitter, but I'll get to that later. I saw him, put 2 up and then gesture to John Cena. And I didn't put it together. And then John Cena kicked Cody Rhodes between the legs. I genuinely, this is not me, I'm not making up a story. I fell to my knees almost in tears. My hands were over my head, so confused and conflicted at what I was seeing. And I think the heel turn was hinted at even in the Elimination Chamber match, because after Punk got curb stomped, you saw Cena rush over to Punk to get get him into position to win. Babyface Cena would probably wait a little bit, be kind of exasperated, maybe even confront the guy that basically just helped him and ultimately lose, which is kind of what I was expecting. But he rushed over to him, and he didn't just pin him. He put him in the STF. He tortured Punk. And I think that kind of foreshadowed this heel turn. In my opinion, in my wrestling life at least, this is the greatest heel turn I have ever seen. John Cena is the last guy anybody would expect to turn heel. He has been a babyface, and a good one at that, for 20 years. What is it? 650 Make-A-Wishes, granted. He has been the embodiment of face of the company. Hustle, loyalty, respect. You want some, come get some. He's not going to back down. He's going to work for it. And this is the guy that turns, and nonetheless, on his retirement tour, he could have just, showed up, gotten a incredible reaction, had a pretty good match, and walk off into the sunset. Maybe win that 17th, or maybe not. But he's a heel now. I am genuinely excited for this road to WrestleMania. I don't think it gets any bigger than this, because when you have a guy as huge as John Cena aligning himself with a guy as huge as The Rock, and not only that, being a bad guy, you are setting yourself up for possibly one of the biggest moments at WrestleMania, at a random episode of Raw. Having a heel Cena on his last year might be one of the biggest, boldest, and most incredible moves any professional wrestling company could make. Oh, man. Elimination Chamber was a roller coaster of emotions for me. I wanted Punk to win, then Cena turned... I wanted Punk to win, then he didn't. Then Cena stayed in the ring to greet Cody Rhodes. Then Cody Rhodes dropped the F-bomb uncensored, which I think that's a perfect use of, their new leeway that they have. Don't do it just every random episode of Raw. Do it on the biggest occasions, and that's what Cody Rhodes did. And then you had the Cena heel turn, and not just a joke heel turn where he just turns his actual heel. No, he kicked the biggest babyface in the no region, so I don't get demonetized or something. I'm not getting paid for this anyways. Whatever. Elimination Chamber is probably the best PLE that Triple H has ran. WrestleMania 40, probably still better in my opinion. But this Elimination Chamber is close to the best. Oh man. I'm still in disbelief.